to Congress because he also knows he's going to have a vote ahead of him around the Epstein files. And so the longer they can delay seating Adelaide Grijalva, who of course just got elected to the Congress, who would be our 218th member to actually vote on that master subpoena.
Puts it over the edge.
It puts it over the edge. And so they don't want Congress in session. Donald Trump just wants to be king. And so we've got to put the fight right now and push back with everything we got.
So you bring up Epstein. His estate delivered that third batch of documents to the Oversight Committee, which includes years of phone call logs, flight data, passenger lists, cash transactions between Epstein and associates, and more. You have billionaires Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. They were mentioned in the documents. Did we learn anything new? I mean, enough to warrant further subpoenas from the Oversight Committee?
Well, every new revelation, I think, is interesting information and builds the broader case. We have essentially right now the single largest sex trafficking ring of the modern era that Jeffrey Epstein led with Ghislaine Maxwell. We also know, and I've said many times, why the president of the United States would be best friends, according to Epstein, for 10 to 15 years, knowing the horrors and the crimes that he was committing is an important question that we need answered. And the powerful men that raped and abused women and girls, and in many cases, children, those women, those girls deserve justice. And so that's why we are out there putting the information out, in my opinion, pushing Comer and the oversight Republicans and forcing them to get these subpoenas out there. At the center of all this is going to be the financial documents. And so right now we are working to get all of the bank records, the financial documents, where the money went. That information is critical to our investigation. The putting out these documents is important to the public. Look, did Elon Musk go to Epstein Island? That's a question that we should know. What did he know about what was going on? Peter Thiel, who's a huge, of course, as we know, massive donor to the Republican Party and a big supporter of Donald Trump's. These phone calls, these interactions, why were all of these powerful men friends and associating, and not just Republicans, by the way, but Democrats also? Why were all these powerful men associating with someone that was abusing and raping young women and girls? And that is, to me, critical of this, because these women deserve justice. And so we're going to expose every person that was involved, and the public are demanding the truth.
So this discharge petition, if it does pass as anticipated in the House, what happens to it in the Senate? And does it even get to Donald Trump's desk? And then what happens to it then?
The reason why this petition is important is, one, we have a subpoena in place right now through the DOJ. The Oversight Committee forced that vote. The subpoena is in place, and the DOJ essentially is slow walking this. I mean, they are involved in a massive cover-up. They won't get us the files. They're obligated to do so under the law. They keep saying, oh, it's coming, we're giving you a small batch. And so we had to go around to the Epstein estate, subpoena other folks, the nonprofits out there. And so that's the work that we've been doing. But we need the full files. Why it's important for Congress to take a vote, because we want every member of Congress on the record. Do they believe in actually releasing the files? And a full vote of the Congress will strengthen that subpoena that we've already done an oversight and make it much more broader and really let the Senate and the president know that this is bipartisan. The American public are demanding this, and every single Republican should be on the record. I think if we get that 218, which will happen as soon as Mike Johnson seats our newest member, I think you're going to have a good chunk of Republicans vote with us.
Way the healthcare. Our discussion tonight is the Democratic Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy of Illinois. He's a member of both the House Oversight Committee and the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, thank you for being with us tonight. Trying to get my head around two different parts of this, because no matter how you look at the Epstein situation, all roads lead through Alex Acosta, right? Whether there was a prosecution or no prosecution or a deal, it all had to happen around Alex Acosta. He said a couple of interesting things. Times were different back in 2006. I'm trying to get my head around whether Alex Acosta did something wrong or he was truly incompetent, having not read the victims' statements, having not thought that this was a case worth pursuing because he felt it was too weak to win. What's your sense of it after hearing some of this testimony?
So first of all, I think it was both. I think he did something wrong in terms of not really even looking at the victim's statements, examining the voluminous evidence. There were over 40 minors that were willing to testify. And so to say that somehow that evidence was flimsy or that case was weak kind of defies logic. I don't think there was a weak case. There was a weak prosecutor, Ali. And I think that at this point, I think that his
Look, part of me wonders if this is going to change the incentives for everyone involved, because as more info comes out, Ghislaine Maxwell's strategy of kind of vaguely exonerating Trump without officially doing so, say in a court of law, I don't know if that works anymore. And as the situation gets more and more clear that MAGA is intertwined with Epstein, you have to wonder if her strategy will change, if her strategy will have to alter, because right now the whole plan is based on the fact that her credibility rests in the absence of other information. That they were like, oh, we're not going to release any information, but we're going to have this interview with her where a current DOJ lawyer, but a former personal Trump lawyer and widely regarded as a Trump ally, is going to do it, like chat with her and basically get her to say that Trump's a good guy and he didn't do any of the really dirty stuff surrounding Epstein. And then all of a sudden that's going to solve it. But that only works if the files don't come out. And there aren't new files that implicate people very close to Donald Trump, including apparently now Elon Musk, who's at least, we don't know the specifics, but is at least mentioned in these files. And remember, Elon was not only one of Trump's biggest donors the last election cycle, but was effectively part of Donald Trump's cabinet and was seen reconciling with Trump at the recent memorial for Kirk, right? So keep all of this in mind. There may come a time, this is why I put question marks in the title, because we don't know. We don't know if she's going to change her mind. Question marks, right? Where she changes her mind and realizes that, like, medium term, her ability to save her own behind and stay in nicer conditions and maybe get out of prison a little bit early doesn't even rest with Trump and his pardon, but rests with her throwing Trump under the bus and saving a legacy that maybe will mitigate some of the evil she did. She'll never not be evil, but maybe she'll turn against people equally as evil